became a dark fantasy villain. This video is about a guy who downloaded a game from a shady site. He played it but made some wrong choices, so his character got messed up. He tried to delete it and start over, but instead, he got pulled into the game, his broken character. Now he's stuck. So let's begin the video. A mountain forest is on fire, with flames everywhere. A blonde man with an eye patch asks a bald guy if any kobold could have survived the flames. The guy asks the captain if they should retreat, as he expected that the mage seemed tough. Their boss tells them not to hesitate, saying the size of the flames suggests the mage hasn't recovered his mana yet. Everyone is shocked as someone emerges from the flames. It was a guy holding a large monster's head in his hand. This man has no idea who they are, but they are terrified of him as he approaches. Their boss tells him that he should stop quietly. That guy looked like disappointed. The guy was warned by the boss, don't think of doing anything funny and keep that head down. If you do, your life will be spared. The guy said, as you wish, and lowered that head. Suddenly, a magical aura began to glow around his hand. Seeing this, their boss panicked and ordered an arrow to be shot. One guy shot an arrow from his behind, but the magical aura acted as a semi-transparent shield and bend that arrow, and the arrow landed on that bald guy's leg. The other two guys were shocked and couldn't understand what was happening. The boss ordered him to stop staring and to kill him. The blonde guy charged at him with a sword, but the mage began casting a magic, creating a white aura that pushed the blonde guy back. The boss realized it was ice magic, but by then, the blonde guy had been frozen and shattered into pieces. The boss was utterly shocked, as he had believed the mage was a fire mage. He couldn't understand how the mage was casting ice magic. The mage asked him if the two of them were hiding in the bushes, and started casting fire magic. He created some fireballs and threw them into the bushes where some guys were hiding. The bald guy was begging to the mage not to come closer to him. The mage touched the bald guy's head and it exploded violently. Our boss was shocked after seeing this and started saying that there was no way it could have happened, and questioned how it was possible. How can anyone poses fire and ice magic at the same time? The mage replied, revealing that it was because he was the trash character. The mage brought the head into a bar, which was likely an adventurer's guild. The bar owner remarked in shock, saying that it was truly surprising that the mage had wiped out the kobold's camp. He admitted he hadn't expected anything but began to thank the mage before trailing off. The mage pulled out a sword. Seeing this, the bar owner asked if the mage had met the vigilantes. The mage said that they were doing inappropriate things, so he buried all of them before coming there. He asked if there was anyone to bury there too. The bar owner replied, "Don't worry, they won't even think about it." The atmosphere in the bar became a little chaotic, but the bar owner managed to control it. He checked his quest list where the quest was to clear the kobold camp and defeat the kobold chieftain. He had successfully completed the quest. He checked the rewards, but they were not very impressive. The bar owner reminded him that he had forgotten about the commission fee. The bar owner said that lodging at the bar was free for life and asked if he needed anything. The mage demanded a hot bath. The bar owner said he would prepare it right away and asked for his name. The mage replied, Ian Hoff. The main character described everything that had happened as part of a video game called Aquilinia. He had illegally downloaded it from a community. In this game, you were supposed to follow only one path to manage the difficulty of the latter half. However, that was not the case for him. Sometimes he chose stamina, sometimes swordsmanship. As a result, he ruined his mage character. So he tried to delete the character and start raising a new character, but his monitor started to flicker and display some unusual messages. Suddenly, he woke up and found himself in a swamp filled with all kinds of enemies and monsters. He didn't understand why he had spawned in this area, which was called the tutorial area. A swordsman suddenly started attacking him. He knew that he could die with the slightest mistake. To survive, he started to fight violently. Blood was everywhere. He was watching his bloody hand and thinking that it had been half a year since he had been in the swamp, enough time to get used to this dark world. While taking a hot bath, he was thinking, has it already been a year? He started to swing his sword when a maid suddenly arrived. She got scared and said she had just brought water, but Ian Hoff tells her he thought she was an ambusher. Then she asked his permission to pour in the water and asked him to tell her if it was too hot. But the lady get attracted by the physique of Ian Hoff. Ian Hoff tell her, "Stop thinking nonsense." She felt embarrassed and asked what she had done, ignoring the lady. He was thinking that he had been able to hold on in the tutorial area thanks to the original stats of his character, but he still thinks that Ian Hoff is still a doomed character. He thought that since his transmigration, the map of the world had been expanding and the enemies were growing stronger. Now, even people and a village he had never seen before existed. It was still not a problem because the gap between his stats and those of the country scoundrels was still huge. However, if he gave up like this, he was sure he would eventually get swept up in something and die. He knew he had to grow stronger, even if just by a bit. He hoped that something useful would come out of the kobolds' camp and decided that he needed to order the foolish villagers to conduct a search. 3 guys discussing whether it's okay to take certain items. The first guy hesitantly asks if it's really okay for them to take the items. The second guy reassures him, calling him punk and saying that Master Ian instructed them to take anything that looks valuable. The third guy then claims that he found the items first, calling the second guy a bastard. The second guy responds by calling the third guy petty for his attitude. Ian wasn't sure if they were following his orders. A guy reported, saying that they had stripped the armor off the monsters as ordered by the master, and as expected, they found what they were looking for. It was a red gem embedded in the chest of the monster. Ian pulled out the red gem from the monster's chest using his sword. A guy asked if it was a cursed bead. Ian replied that it was something like that, containing a lot of contaminated mana. The guy then wondered if it meant that the chieftain had used black magic. Ian explained that the bastard who inserted it into the monster's body must have used it. The guy then asked what would happen if someone got bewitched by the bead. Someone asked Johnson if he had searched through everything and noticed a bead, commenting that it looked pretty and asking if he had picked it up. Johnson confirmed that he had picked it up and planned to take it to his mother. Meanwhile, Ian warned that anyone who picked up the bead would become a puppet, a new toy of the person who had embedded the bead in the monsters' bodies.